Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another exciting Money Moves. And we've got some big stuff to talk to you about. How you doing, Wendy Lee?
Doing great. Happy to be here. Happy Tuesday.
Awesome. Yeah, big stuff going on. Lots of big stuff going on just in the political world and everything else. But we're not here to talk about that today. We're actually going to talk about something that's important to you. It's called diversification. But a lot of people think, oh, yeah, I need to diversify my portfolio when it comes to building wealth or investing and things like that, which, don't get me wrong, you do. But there's something that's just as important that you should diversify, and few, if any, people actually do it. And that's what we're going to be talking about. So do me a favor, click that little like button, share button, whatever you got to do to show some love to the Money Moves team. And we're going to get started here in just a few seconds. So yeah, diversification. You've heard of that before, right, Wendy?
I have quite often
Yeah,
about, when it comes to your investments, for sure.
that's right. Is right. Well, I mean, it's just like, hey, spread the love in your portfolio. You want to spread the love here with the Money Move Show. Hit that like button, right? I can't ask that enough. But yeah, a lot of people, you talk about, well, why do you want to diversify? Well, you want to spread your risk, right?
Mm-hmm.
You want to spread it out. So if one industry, has some trouble, it doesn't wipe out your entire portfolio, or you would never put your, all your retirement or wealth into one stock, right?
Right.
Because if something happens to that, you're wiped out. So what's the answer? What's the solution? Diversification. But the funny thing is, when it comes to income streams, most people out there have one stream of income, and that is so freaking dangerous. Why?
Mm-hmm.
Because a lot happens, right? I mean,
Yeah.
I've shared my story on here before. I've had corporate gigs, and I've had a great corporate career back when I was doing the corporate stuff. I had some, good bosses, some great bosses, and some not so good bosses. I guess we'll call them double SOBs in reverse. But you look at that and it's like, what do you mean diversify your income? What the heck does that mean? You talking to like getting a night job or something like that? And don't get me wrong, a lot of people are doing that now out of necessity because they can't get a full-time gig to cover their expenses. But, it's more than that, right? It's more than that. Looking at going back to my corporate gig, I got laid off 3 times. And when I did, my income stream, poof, gone. And there was a little bit of a severance and things like that to kind of soften the blow. But it was like, whoa. And that can be a scary, scary place if you don't have that diversification of income, right?
Yeah. I was laid off twice, 2 corporate layoffs. And thankfully, it was a time that I could go get another job. Well, one time I got another job. The second time I was like, screw this, I'm going to be an entrepreneur. But yeah,
Peace out.
people think like, in the entrepreneurial world, people are like, oh, I just like my job security. And I'm like, yeah, that's not really a thing.
There is not. If you're still one of those people out there, I'm just gonna hear me on this, people. If you're one of those people that think, oh, I got a real job, I got job security, you are doing nothing but lying to yourself. You have drunk the company Kool-Aid and you're waving the flag. So stop. Your company could give a rat's butt about you, and that's not every company out there. So if you're the one, oh, my boss loves me, okay, that's fine, that's you. But I'm talking about most major corporations out there. You are a cog in the wheel, and don't get me wrong, that can be a good thing too, right? If you're good at what you do and all that stuff, and you just go into it eyes wide open. But you've got to realize that you're at risk if something should happen to not only your company but your industry. Or maybe your company gets acquired, right? And if you're the acquiree and there's other people in the other company that do your job, guess what? You probably won't have a job very long because they're going to go with what they know, right? You'll get a severance and you'll get your walking papers. And that's really where it gets scary, especially when the economy is as challenged as it is right now. You've got high inflation. I saw a thing on the Instasphere, right? In regards to this guy was doing his Walmart shopping and went in, bought his groceries, 2 years ago. Well, apparently you can go back and see your history. So he went in and there was a button, buy all again. So he hit it again. It was like $127. You may have seen this, but it was $127. And then he said, buy all again now. Less than 2 years later, it was $414 for the same exact groceries. So it's crazy. So, you've got to take that in consideration for a couple of different reasons. Number one, it can be a soft parachute for you, a parachute for a soft landing if you do get downsized. But it can be another avenue of revenue, right? Another income stream for you. You can do things like pay for your kids' college with it, invest it, pay off bills, all kinds of different things. But it's not something that you should look at, in my opinion. It's not something you should look at as a nice to have, or, oh, wouldn't it be nice to do a seasonal job like back in the day when mom used to go work at Macy's for Christmas, or something like that. But I think everybody in today's environment, in this entrepreneurial environment out there, you need to have not just one, but maybe multiple streams of income. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah. I was listening to a podcast the other day and they were talking about you should never, I think she said you should never have more than 15% of your revenue come from one stream. And I was like, whoa, that's whoa.
That's aggressive.
But, I know.
But it makes sense.
But listening, there's so many, we call it the gig economy now, right? Like most people have the corporate job, and if they don't have a two income household, somebody's got an extra job, or the husband works full time and the wife's got the side gig, or for me, at one point in time, I had the full-time gig and the side gig, but most people have the side gig. But then, I found that even people, so my story, I went from corporate layoff to another job, corporate, and I started a side gig while I did that job, and then I got laid off. But then I was one stream of income again with the side gig that became the main gig. Still dangerous. Still not the best.
No, it is. Yeah, and you see a lot of people that do, they go, okay, you're talking about the cash flow quadrant. If you haven't read Robert Kiyosaki's book, Cash Flow Quadrant, viewers, you need to. But it talks about, a lot of people that get laid off or whatever, so what do? They go start a consulting firm, or they go start a business on the side or whatever. But they still have, now they're self-employed, but they still have one stream of income.
One stream. Yeah.
And you're playing the same Russian roulette type of game with that, because if something happens, if you're mowing yards, for example, well, when winter hits, are you mowing yards anymore? Probably not, right? So, it's one of those things that you've really got to take into consideration, what kind of side income do I want? And even, you get people that go into, network marketing, for example. I know that's a big world of yours. That's not even really safe, because like you said, that main thing becomes the main thing. There's things happen or could happen, because you put all those eggs in one basket, and all it takes, you go back to when you got laid off, and I know it happened to me. I don't know about you, but when I got laid off, not only was it an emotional hit, right? But it was also a big financial hit, because now you're draining down your emergency fund. I remember one time I tapped into my 401k a little bit, because you gotta keep things moving, right? The bills don't stop. And that gets to be a scary time. So not only do you lose the stream of income, the bills don't start coming in. So now you're draining down those resources. So you're taking a step or two back financially in your wealth strategy. And then, well, you get your job back, but you lose that time and that compounding time. And it's a big, devastating blow. Not just emotionally, but financially as well. And a lot of people think, I'm going to go be self-employed, be an entrepreneur, so I don't have to worry about that again. And that's not always the case either.
No. Yeah. It's funny because I've been through this. This is why I'm here and I work with you now, because of what I saw going from, corporate, right? I'm like, there's no job security. And then I joined a network marketing company that I did very well. My second year in, I was making six figures. For 3 years, I made six figures without, not close to working 40 hours a week. And I was around people in that business who were like, I literally had a leader to say to me, and this is nothing against her, I love her dearly as a person, but at the time, she literally said to me, oh yeah, my financial advisor told me I need to start saving money. She was making multiple six figures a month, a month. And she said, my financial advisor told me I need to cut my spending and start saving more and investing for retirement. And he doesn't realize, she literally said this to me, he doesn't realize this is my retirement plan. This money's never going to stop. That company just told their consultants yesterday that they're not getting team pay anymore. So
team pay meaning like the
meaning
override,
all the money on all the team that they've built of tens of thousands of people that they're getting paid on is going away. And first, I want to say, like, I hurt for those people, but also I'm so thankful that, like, my eyes were opened years ago. Like, when I started meeting with you, when I got my financial plan from you, because I saw just in my business, that business that was successful, we had one little hiccup at one point with technology, and my income was cut in half overnight because of a mistake on IT. And that was like this, like, tick in my brain to go, this is not like guaranteed money, right? Like, which, duh, right? What? But you don't think that. And so I got into this network marketing thing where it's like, oh, this is. And so when I started working with you, I was like, my message, my passion is to teach people in the network marketing industry that this isn't your retirement plan, but this can fund your retirement plan, right? Well, like, let's be smart with the money to put it somewhere to build those assets.
No, and that's the same thing. The same thing happens in the self-employed world too, right? You have, people come in, they start a company, they think they're going to grow it big. And I'm talking not the network marketing, but a traditional company. Right. They're going to grow it into this big thing, and then they're going to sell it for a bunch of money, and that's what they're going to live on, this, that, and the other. Well, the reality is, and I've seen it time and time again, what happens is as they're growing that business, they're living for the business, right? They're barely pulling money out to keep the business sustainable and thinking they're going to grow it, and then maybe start doing a little better. But down the road, a lot of things can happen, right? Number one, most businesses go out of business within the first year. Those that don't go out of business within the first 5 years, right? So it's probably not going to be there for you. Now, don't get me wrong, there are businesses that have been around a while and everybody thinks that's going to be them. Statistically speaking, the odds are against them. Let's just put it that way. So if you pour everything into it, then it's gone and you've got nothing to show for it. Now you're, 5-10 years old and it's like crap. And then you look at, okay, well, in your situation, like, oh yeah, I've got this endless stream of money. I'm just printing. It's never going to stop. That's going to be where I'm trying. You don't know what's going to happen with the laws. You don't know what's going to happen with the industry. Technology can come. Look at AI that's happening right now. AI is taking over a lot of stuff, and it's that income can be replaced. So that's why, again, you want to diversify your income. But more importantly, and I want you to hear me on this, if you're a business owner, whether it's a traditional business, a franchise, or a network marketing business, you want to withdraw that equity that you're building, that future equity, that, all that equity you're going to have down the road. You want to withdraw that currently in your current time frame. And what do I mean by that? Well, as you're making that money in that business, you want to take some of that aside and do what Wendy just said. You want to put that into a wealth strategy, right? Something that's going to grow outside of that industry, outside of that company, in that way, if something does happen to it, you look over here and say, man, I'm glad I pulled out all that equity, AKA cash, now and put it into something else outside of that to make sure that I had something to show for my work if something does happen. If it doesn't happen, guess what? You still have the money and stuff sitting there anyway, right?
Exactly. And yeah, it's just, going back to that, diversifying your income. Like, there's got to be multiple streams of income. And it doesn't mean like, it doesn't mean, oh, I do a little bit of this and a little bit of that and a little bit of that. Like, figure out what you're good at, figure out what your niche is, and find ways to create multiple streams of income within that niche, right? So like, you've done a good job with this with, Turning Point Group, your company, right? Like, there's multiple ways to bring in income in that company. There's, with me, I talk about make, manage, multiply. There's different ways to make money, right? That are all fall under that same umbrella of, the online space. So find out just ways. Don't put all your eggs in one basket.
Yeah, no, I mean, and that really is key. And this is kind of off topic a little bit, but looking at your brand, right? As we go into more and more social media, and I'm even learning about this, right? You can't teach an old dog new tricks, right? But you look at your brand, you don't want to dilute your brand. And I remember, going to networking groups, this is pre-COVID, and I still go to networking groups, but, you go to networking groups, there's a lot of people there, and you'd have, 2 or 3 people in the audience that would be, well, I do this, but I also do this, and then I also do this. So if you need any one of those, and they were never connected, right? It was like, So it's almost like the jack of many trades, master of none, or something like that, whatever it's called. But jack of all trades, master of none. But you look at that and it's like, well, that kind of dilutes your brand. What the hell do you actually do? Right? What are you good? So going back to what you just said, find your niche, find what you're looking at, and look for periphery income streams that tie to what you do. So it's a seamless conversation. And, we do financial planning, and there's a whole scope of things that touch that. So we've created revenue streams for our reps and advisors to actually be able to come in and leverage that. And that way they can keep their brand clean, but it all ties to, building wealth and, things along those lines, and legacy planning and things like that. And that's what's key, So again, looking at, okay, what am I doing now? If you have a JOB, you definitely need some kind of a side hustle or something like that, but don't just jump into anything. Number one, is it a good, reputable company, right? Because some of them aren't. Is it going to be around long-term? Has it been around? What's the projected longevity? Is it something, are they selling a fad, or is it something that's really going to, make something and change lives, right? And if that's the case, what's their compensation look like? Is it something where I can create an income stream for myself in an active fashion, but can I also build passive income over time? And that's the key, because, as you said, that becomes an income stream for you, not only today, but down the road. It's like, rental homes, right? It's like, hey, I've got rental income coming in. Well, your business can do the same thing for you if you do it right, but you don't want to put your eggs in one basket. You want to diversify that, but make sure it doesn't, it doesn't dilute your brand, right? Yeah. That's my 2 cents.
Yeah. And just to reiterate one more time, like, even with multiple streams of income, like the thing that's really good about that, right, is like, and I've even had this, right, because I totaled up the other day. I actually have 9 sources of income, right? But sometimes some are up here and the others are down here, and other times it goes like this, right? So ideally they kind of balance each other out. But more than that, I feel like the message I really want to convey is don't spend all your money. Don't spend all your money. Start, especially
don't assume it's going to be there forever.
Network marketing business, or that your small business, or that whatever it is, your digital marketing business, that it's going to be there forever, paying you forever. I mean, I've leaned into digital marketing. I think it's a great way to make extra cash for people. But there are some people acting like, I watch them on their videos acting like this is going to be the game changer for the rest of their life. And I'm like, it's already getting attacked by the FTC with the way some people are doing it. Like, you can't depend on that. You've got to use the skills to learn how to create your own business that nobody can take from you, 1. And then 2, like, you be smart. The biggest mistake I ever made, and I'm speaking from the heart here, and I'm a little passionate about it because I've paid the price for not being smart with my money. And take from what you're making. Do not spend what you make. Stop increasing your lifestyle. And which nobody is right now, because nobody can afford life right now. But in general, when times get better, because they will, instead of upgrading your lifestyle, stack cash. Start creating, building assets that you own, that are gonna pay you cash flow for the future that nobody can take from you.
Yep. Instead of upgrading your lifestyle, upgrade your net worth, because that's the real the real game right there, ladies and gentlemen. So on that, we're going to end, but hopefully this helped you out. If it did, again, show some love, give us a like, give us some love, share this with your friends. We'd love it if you'd share with on your social media as well. And if you have a topic you'd like to talk about, reach out to us. We're doing stuff all the time, and we're actually looking for some people to interview as well. That tie to financial, and it's not something where you come on and sell. It's something where you actually come on and help, right? Educate people. So that's what it's all about. So if you're interested in that, reach out to us as well. But thanks again for watching. We'll see you next week, next Tuesday, on another Money Moves. And again, don't just take this information down. Make sure you're doing something with it. Applied knowledge is the key. So go out, be awesome, and we'll see you next week. Bye, everybody.